Hi everyone, this is Pastor Kayla from Emmanuel Lighthouse in Petawawa, Ontario, Canada. So glad to be here with you this morning for our daily devotions. I'm so happy to see all of you guys tuning in and keeping up with them. God is really speaking. I'm so thankful for His word. I'm so thankful for His voice. I'm so thankful for the gospel. So today I want to talk to you about the subject of turn the tables. And I really believe that I'm really sensing that God wants to give us victory. He wants to bring us out. He wants to lift us up. He wants us to be overcomers. And so I want to talk about turn the tables. Now, Romans 8:37 says this, "Yet in all these things we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us." We're more than conquerors. Not a little bit, not just conquerors. We are more than conquerors. Now, if we're completely honest, it doesn't always feel like we are conquerors, let alone more than conquerors. If we're completely honest, sometimes we actually feel like we're conquered. Okay? If we're honest, there are times that we feel like the loser, not the winner. There are times when we feel like the outcast, not the one who's recognized or noticed or going somewhere. There are times when we feel like the loser, not the winner. There are times when we feel defeated, not victorious, but defeated. There are times when we feel constantly disadvantaged, like we're the underdog, not the top dog. There are times when we feel like we're in a state of weakness and vulnerability. And sometimes it just feels like no matter how hard we try, we just can't seem to get the upper hand in life or in our current situation. And if we're honest, there are times that it feels like Satan is crushing us under his feet and not the other way around. But what if I told you right now that God was about to turn your situation around, that He was about to turn your circumstance around? What if I told you He was about to turn the tables on the enemy and give you great favor? What if I told you that God was about to lift you up and lift you out of the pit of the miry clay and place you upon a rock that would elevate you so high above the enemy? Now, turn the tables is an idiom, and most of us have probably used it at some point in our lives, right? It describes a reversal in a particular situation, right? It describes gaining the upper hand when you haven't had it previously. It kind of describes a change from being in a weaker position to a position of strength. It describes, a reversal in one's position to someone else, especially by turning a position of being disadvantaged to advantaged, right? It's really the underdog story, this turn of the tables, where the weakling becomes the strong one, and the one who looks like he's going to be defeated it becomes the conqueror. It's a turn of the tables. And we love stories like that. And what if I told you that your life could be that story? The underdog rising to the top, the one who looks like definitely going to be defeated, becomes the conqueror, the victor. God is about to turn the tables. God is about to turn the tables. Genesis 50:20 says this, "But as for you, you meant evil." Now this is Joseph talking to his brothers. "But as for you, you meant evil against me. But God meant it and took it and turned it for good, in order to bring it about as it is this day, to save many people alive." Joseph's brothers became his enemies, and there's no doubt that Satan was kind of working behind the scenes there. But his brothers became his own enemies, and they meant evil against him, and they meant harm against him. Joseph went from being in a pit to prominence in Potiphar's house. That was a major turn of events. And then he went from Potiphar's house to being in a prison. And then he went from prison to being in a palace and being second only to Pharaoh of the land of Egypt. That was a major turn of the tables. Now, with the enemy intends to kill, and he intends to steal, and he intends to destroy and cause great defeat. We see it in the life of Joseph, and you better believe we'll see it in our lives at some point. But God looks down from heaven and he laughs. I love this. He laughs at the plans of the enemy. He laughs at Satan. He laughs at his plans, and he laughs at the plans of those who set themselves against God's people. He laughs. He thinks it's hilarious that they think they can set themselves against the people of God. Psalms 37:12-13 says this: "The wicked plots against the just and gnashes his teeth at him. The Lord laughs at him," being the wicked, who's coming against the just, "for he sees that his day is coming." And so the Lord is laughing right now. He is laughing, and it's a laugh of mockery, because he's about to turn your situation around, and the enemy's not even going to see it incoming. And some of you are concerned right now about some present events that are taking place in our world, and you're scared, and I've witnessed it. There are people who are scared. Yes, even Christians right now. There are some people who have influence in our world right now who only have evil intentions. And I mean, that's the truth. Let's just be real. And there are people who are scared about that. And some of you are scared about that. But let me remind you, God is still on his throne, and he is looking down from heaven, and he is laughing. He is laughing at the plans of the enemy, because their day is coming. It is coming, and it is coming soon. And their plans are going to turn against them. Going to turn against them. He is turning the tables. The enemy thinks, I've got them. I'm going to harm God's people. And God says, absolutely not. I am turning this situation around. Hear the word of the Lord. There's a song called "See a Victory" by Elevation Worship. It's a great song. If you haven't heard it, go look it up after this devotion, not right now. It will encourage you. The bridge of this song says, "You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it, and you turn it, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good." God is so good at turning the tables. He takes what the enemy means for evil, and he turns it around and makes it for the good of his people. And so today I want to take a few moments to look at the book of Esther. I love the book of Esther. It's a great book. The main idea here is that, you've got a Jewish woman. She becomes queen of Persia. It comes to her attention that her people, Jewish people, are going to be exterminated, are going to be murdered. And she does some things to help prevent that. Okay, and at the end of the story, we know that the Jewish people get victory. But within that major conflict, there are some little conflicts that we need to take a look at. And we're really going to take a look at the relationship between Haman and Mordecai. And Mordecai was Esther's cousin, and he raised her. We're going to look at that relationship between Haman and Mordecai, and we see this theme of reversal taking place in the relationship. And Esther is filled with irony. And it's kind of funny. Sometimes I just kind of laugh, because it is kind of funny. There's a lot of ironic things that take place in this book, this historical account in the Bible. And so we're going to look at Esther 3:1-6. I'm going to read that to you. After these things, King Ahasuerus promoted Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes who were with him. And all the king's servants who were with the king's gate bowed and paid homage to Haman, for so the king had commanded concerning him. But Mordecai would not bow or pay homage. And so here we begin to see this relationship. It's a rocky relationship between Haman and Mordecai. So Mordecai will not bow Then the king's servants who were within the king's gate said to Mordecai, "Why do you transgress the king's command?" Now it happened, when they spoke to him daily, that he would not listen to them, that they told it to Haman to see whether Mordecai's words would stand. For Mordecai had told them that he was a Jew. When Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow or pay him homage, Haman was filled with wrath, but he disdained to lay hands on Mordecai alone. So he wasn't going to take out his wrath on just Mordecai, for they had told him of the people of Mordecai. Instead, Haman sought to destroy all of the Jews who were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, the people of Mordecai. And so we see this relationship begin. Haman does not like Mordecai. Haman does not like Mordecai because Mordecai will not bow to him. Mordecai will not bow to him. My assumption is because he is a Jew and he bows to one, and it's not Haman. Mordecai is upset. He's very proud, very vain human being. Not my favorite person. He decides, well, I want to get rid of Mordecai, but not just Mordecai, all of his people. And so my thought on that is that he's like, well, if Mordecai is one Jew who won't bow to me, he's assuming all the other Jews won't bow to him, is my thought on that. So he thinks, let's just get rid of them. They don't want to bow to me, let's just kill them. Yep, that seems reasonable, but that was his decision. So Mordecai discovers Haman's plot and the king's approval to execute the Jewish people. He goes to Queen Esther and asks her to go to the king and to make supplication for her people. They organize 3 days of prayer and fasting. On the third day, Esther enters the king's court without being called. This was against the law, and it could result in her death. However, the king does extend favor to her and ask her what it is that she wants. What is her request? She requests that the king and Haman come to a banquet that she has prepared especially for Haman. Now Haman discovers this. He gets the invite and he is feeling on top of the world at this point. In scripture, he goes to this banquet and scripture says that he left the banquet joyful and with a glad heart. He was feeling like, yes, I'm on top. That's what he was feeling. The enemy was feeling, yes, I'm on top. As he came out of that court, as he came out of the banquet, he saw Mordecai in the king's gate, and that once again Mordecai did not tremble before him or bow before him or acknowledge him at all. And Haman was filled with great anger. So Haman, he gets home, calls all of his friends and his wife. He boasts of his promotion and his great riches and his children. He brags about how Queen Esther invited only him to have a banquet with her and the king. Esther 5:13-14 records this. Yet all this avails me nothing. And this is Haman. He's a big baby. So long as I see Mordecai, the Jew, sitting at the king's gate. Then his wife Zeresh and all his friends said to him, let a gallows be made, 50 cubits high, and in the morning suggested the king that Mordecai be hanged on it. Then go merrily with the king to the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he had the gallows made. On this very night that Haman is devising this plan to murder Mordecai, for no reason, really, the king cannot sleep. So he commands that the book of the records of the Chronicles be brought to him and be read to him. It's discovered that Mordecai had discovered a assassination plot and had revealed it and had actually saved the king's life. And so the king is wondering, okay, was there anything that was done to honor Mordecai? And the answer was no, nothing has been done. So the king asked, okay, well, who's in the court right now? Ironically, I'm telling you, there's irony in this. Ironically, Haman was in the court at this time. Haman was in the court wanting to talk to the king, right? To have Mordecai hanged on the gallows. But we're beginning to see a turn of the tables here. So Haman is called into the king, and he basically asks Haman, what should I do for the man that I want to honor, that I want to acknowledge? So Haman, in his pride, naturally assumes, well, he must be talking about me. And so he lays out this list of things that should be done for this man. Okay? And so the things on his list is, this man who you want to honor, you got to dress him in royal apparel. You got to let him ride on the king's horse. You got to put a crown on his head. You got to choose a noble prince and have him array this man with the apparel and put this man on the horse and walk this man through the city, declaring, look what the king does for the man that he wants to honor, for the man that he delights to honor. Now, imagine Haman's surprise when the king told him to go do everything he had just laid out for Mordecai. That's hilarious. That is so funny. And so here it is, we begin to see a reversal of a very serious situation. And this is God doing it, no doubt. It is here we begin to see a turn of the tables taking place for Mordecai and for the people, the Jewish people. Okay? So after this situation, Haman literally runs home pouting. And in Esther 6:13-14, it reads, when Haman told his wife Zeresh and all his friends everything that had happened to him, his wise men and his wife Zeresh said to him, if Mordecai, before whom you began to fall, is of Jewish descent, you will not prevail against him, but will surely fall before him. While they were still talking with him, the king's eunuchs came and hasted to bring Haman to the banquet which Esther had prepared. Haman was sensing it. His wife was sensing it. His friends were sensing it. Something's shifting here. Something's changing. The tables are beginning to turn. Mordecai is probably going to prevail against you. They could even sense that was taking place. So now at this second banquet that Esther is hosting, she reveals to the king that Haman is trying to kill her people. Now the king is very angry and has to take a breather out on the porch. While he's out on the porch, Haman is desperate. He's begging the queen, and he just kind of dramatically falls on her, and the king comes in at that point, and I believe he misinterprets that, and now he's even more angry, and he calls for people to come in, and they put a bag over his head ultimately and bring him off to the gallows to be hanged. The gallows that Haman, had made for Mordecai. And that is where he died, on the gallows he had built for Mordecai's death. A serious turn of the tables. It looked like Mordecai was going to be defeated. It looked like death was at his front door. But God turned those tables around, and the enemy ended up defeated, and Mordecai ended up victorious. And Mordecai received Haman's ring, that power, that authority. And Mordecai received his house. That is a huge turn of the tables. And not only that, there was a new decree that was put out that the people, the Jewish people, could fight on that day that they were going to be exterminated, that they could fight. And that one day turned to 2 days of fighting. And they were not defeated. And they did not die. But instead, they were the conquerors, and they received the victory, and they were the ones doing the slaying and the killing, because there was a major turn of events. There was a major turn of the tables. And so you might feel like Mordecai, and you might feel like Joseph, and you might feel like the people of Israel, the Jewish people, and the enemy's always on your back, and he's just always plotting against you. And you can never seem to rise above. But the same God who turned the tables for Mordecai and put him on top when it seemed like he should be dead, and the same God who rose Joseph to power and authority after being in a pit and a prison and turned the tables for him, and the same God who delivered the Jewish people in the book of Esther and turned it all around where they became the victors and they became the conquerors, is the same God who works for you. So no matter what it is, no matter what's going on, God is about to turn the tables, and you will receive the victory. You're not just a conqueror. You are more than a conqueror. More than a conqueror. And I'm so excited for what God is going to do for you. I loose it. In Jesus' name, God is about to turn the tables. You are going to come out on top. You are going to come out victorious. You are going to come out more than a conqueror. Okay? Death is not for you. Defeat is not for you. You will put your foot on Satan's head. It will not be the other way around. any longer. I'm so excited for what God is going to do. So thank you for tuning in this morning. Be blessed. Get that victory. Claim the turn of the tables. It is going to happen. Believe it. Believe it. Be blessed. Be blessed. And have a wonderful day.